Hey guys, welcome back to Yoga with Leona, your site for everything about yoga and breast cancer recovery. Today, I thought I would make another tutorial video. This one helping you to figure out how to step forward from downward facing dog. So this is a video for once you're feeling comfortable with the vigor of the Y for C style videos and you're feeling comfortable putting some weight into your arms and you're ready to kind of move on to the slightly more vigorous yoga practices that are incorporating some downward facing dog, some planks, and some of this stepping forward and back from downward facing dog. So it's a really common challenge that people say, I just can't get my foot to step forward. And so that makes it really challenging to keep up in these sorts of practices where we're stepping forward and back and sometimes doing so a little bit briskly. So it's super common. If you're having a challenge with this, you're not alone. But I thought that I would share a little video with you today to help you kind of know a few of the tricks and tips, and then also just know like the basic strengthening and things that you need to work on that will make it easier for you. All right, so let's get started. Let me just first show you the problem and the challenge that a lot of people are having. So the issue is this. When we're in downward facing dog, very commonly, we will say step one foot in between the hands, and then we'll step forward and we'll move on with further standing poses or that sort of thing. So often we'll be stepping forward or stepping back. So the issue is this. Many people, when they try to step forward, they'll go, I can't get my foot forward. There's no room to get my foot forward, right? So instead of here being able to step the foot right forward, they'll be here and they're getting stuck and they can't get that leg forward. And it's not just because their cat's in the way. That's Howie. So there are two main areas or two main parts to this puzzle, I think. The first is the idea of creating more space underneath your body. So you need to make some room underneath your body so that that foot can move forward. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to make that space. So first, you move your cat. All right. And then, so you might grab a couple of yoga blocks. If this is something that's really been a challenge for you, one trick is to use some yoga blocks to make some space. So let me show you that first. So just by putting some blocks under your hands, when you come here to downward facing dog, when you push forward, you've got this much more room, right? So it's going to make it that much easier to bring that foot forward. So that's the first trick, is starting to try it with some blocks under your hands first. All right, great. So that's a pretty simple thing to do. Let's talk about a few more tips and tricks. So let's look at this again. So from downward facing dog, if you just shift forward into a plank, there's not very much room underneath your body, right? So my leg can't shift forward in that position either. So when I'm trying to step forward, what I do to create space is I push into the floor. So I'm pushing even stronger, rolling my shoulder blades apart to create more room under my body. So you can see all this space underneath my body now. And there are a few pieces of that puzzle. So number one is pushing stronger into the shoulders, rounding the upper back, pulling the belly up and in. And then you can also see me up super high on my tippy toes. So when you do that, you make all this room here so that then it's easier to step forward. So we shift forward, we push into the floor, we pull our belly up and in, rounding the back, up on the toes, and then we step forward. And then that last little thing you may have seen me do there, let's show it with the other leg. Shifting forward, pushing into the floor, pulling the belly up and in, up high on the toes, and then the hand on the side of the foot that's coming forward can rise up a little bit. So they don't have to stay completely flat. Let me show you that again. Push forward, belly up, lift that hand very gently off the floor. All right, so those are the main ways to create space under your body so that your leg has some room. Let me show you one more tip. If you're someone who's got a little flesh around the middle, that can be a challenge, and that can be one of the reasons that it's hard to create that space for the leg to come forward. And so in that case, you can bring the leg slightly wide. And I'll see if I can show it to you in this angle. So instead of bringing the foot straight forward, you can bring the foot a little to the side. So you make a little more space in between for the belly. So stepping the foot just slightly wide. It's like sometimes in Warrior One, we talk about having the feet on railroad tracks instead of on a tight wire. So instead of trying to step that foot straight forward into the midline, if you've got some flesh here that's going to impede that leg from stepping forward, you can take the leg slightly wide, and that allows the thigh to go just outside your belly a little bit and step the foot forward. All right. So those are the making space tips. So pushing hard through the shoulders, rounding that upper back, pulling the belly up and in to create space, and then rising up on the tippy toes, and then either raising the hands with blocks or by rolling one hand up as you step the leg forward. Now, once you've done all of those, then we really need to have a strong, strong core, as you can imagine, first of all, to push and pull that belly up and in, but then also to have the strength to pull the leg all the way forward. So a few core strengthening exercises that I think are super helpful. Let's do one on our backs first. So this is a core strengthening exercise that I learned relatively recently, but I think it's super good for this particular problem. So what we do is we hug our knees into our chest, and you might rock side to side first. Just make sure your low back is all loose and stable and ready to do this. And then you're going to pull those knees in as tight as you can to your chest. And remember here, it's okay if the knees are separated a little bit. So if you've got that fleshy belly in the middle and you need to separate the knees a little, that's fine. And then you're going to pull your head up, engage your core here, and make yourself into the smallest, tightest ball you can. And then we're going to practice releasing the arms and holding the legs there tightly, tightly pulled into the chest using the strength of your core and your hip flexors. So you're practicing bringing those knees in super tight to your chest and belly. Good. And then relax. Whew, so you'll feel the temperature, the heat in your body turn up as you start doing this. It's a really great core strengthener, strengthening all these muscles on the front side of your body that you need strong to be able to pull that leg up and in. Let's do this one more time. So hug those knees in tight, pull your head up toward the knees, and then keep the legs there. Release the arms, hold the legs tightly into your chest using the strength of your belly and your hip flexors. Breathing for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release and rest a moment. Maybe windshield wipe those knees side to side. All right, good. And then coming up to a seat, however that works for you. Let me show you one more core strengthening exercise that's really like the perfect practice for stepping forward. All right, so I call these three-legged dog crunches. So you can do them with your blocks. I'll show them with the blocks first, and then I'll show them on the floor. So you're going to come into downward facing dog, and you're going to take one leg to the sky, and then you're basically practicing everything we showed about making space. So as you shift forward, push into the floor, shoulder blades spread, belly pulls up, and you bring that knee toward your chest. And then inhale, stretch it up. Exhale, pull it in again, pushing into the floor, belly up and in, knee forward. Good, one more time up. And this time, after we step it forward, we're pushing in. We've got that knee tightly, tightly into the chest. Then we can put the foot down. Now, if all of that is still pretty challenging to you, as it probably will be while you keep practicing and building the strength and flexibility, maybe you're only able to get your foot about halfway forward. That's fine. Once you get the foot forward, wiggle it forward a little more, and then you can come up into your position, whatever it is. Let's show those core strengtheners again with the other leg. So shifting up to downward facing dog. I'll give you a couple of other options in this one that I often do in my yoga practices. So let's do the other leg. Left leg up. Shift forward, push into the floor, belly up and in. This time we can take the knee a little wide, like toward our tricep. And up, and then in toward the nose. Strong, strong core, strong hip flexor, pushing into the floor. And back up. And this time you could twist it a little, bring the knee to the opposite elbow, hold, and up. And then lastly, pull that knee in, push into the floor, make tons of space, step it forward. Sometimes we'll put the back knee down here and then work through some stretches in a low lunge. All right, and then let's remove the blocks and we'll just show you the same thing on the floor, but it's basically the exact same movement. So we come to downward facing dog. We stretch one leg to the sky. We shift forward, push into the floor, belly up and in, high on the toes and step forward. One more time. Leg up, shift forward. You can practice just strengthening here with the three-legged crunches and up. Step it forward and up. And then eventually your core will be nice and strong. You'll have the form to step that foot forward. All right. So that's it. You can tell I'm kind of flushed. It's actually really pretty hard work, but you can do it. You can work slowly up to it. So put in a little time working on the form. Really just imagine creating space underneath. So I've heard it said to imagine like the underneath side of your body is like a hollowed out canoe. So an upside down canoe, you're trying to hollow out that front side of your body to make all that space for the leg to step forward. So practice making space on the front side and then just strengthening the core so it'll be easier to walk that leg forward. And as always, always be patient with yourself. If you can only step halfway forward, that's great. Keep working on it and just keep practicing. You step the foot halfway forward, wiggle it the rest of the way, keep working on those crunches, and eventually it'll step all the way forward. All right, that's it. Let me know how you're doing with that. If you have any questions, something's not working for you, or you need a little more guidance, I'm here to help. All right, have an awesome day.